Hey guys, it's Brittany with Scott Leroy Marketing. Today I wanted to go over the new application API Nation, which is now available for use in your Command Marketplace. This application is going to be replacing PieSync. So anyone who had an automated sync set up through a third-party platform or a lead capture platform, this is going to be replacing that for you. For API Nation, as of right now, there are going to be 11 apps that you can link to your command database, but the two that are currently live and readily available are Google Contacts and iCloud. We've also noticed that Dotloop is allowing you to set up a sync as well, which means that you'll also be able to sync your Dotloop contacts over to your command database, which is pretty cool. With all of these platforms, you can set them up as either a one-way sync or a two-way sync. A one-way sync is going to mean that the contacts that you're pulling from, for example, if we're using Google, which what I'll be doing today, if I do a one-way sync, it's either going to take my contacts from my Google contacts and make a copy of them in my command database, or it will take my command contacts and put a copy of those in my Google contacts. You can also set it up as a two-way sync, so both of them are actively syncing back and forth. It's completely up to you how this is set up. I'm going to go over a couple of the options with you guys today. In regards to syncing up all of the platforms, thankfully, they're all the same. I'm going to be using Google Contacts today as an example, but the actual setup process will be the same for any of the platforms that are available currently. So if you are going to be following along live, make sure that you also have your third-party platform up. So if you're using Dotloop, if you're using iCloud, if you're using Google Contacts, whatever platform you're looking to sync with command, I have it up on a separate tab on the same browser. This is just going to allow them to communicate with each other a little bit nicer, and it's going to avoid any two-step verification that you may have set up on the account. So I already have my Google Contacts up. One thing I would recommend if you're pulling from either iCloud or Google Contacts, make sure that your contacts are showing up in the account. So make sure that you're logged into the correct email, make sure that your contacts are there. I'm also making a mental note that I do have my contacts all set up with one label. You'll notice they all have SLM import. If you have multiple labels or multiple groups in your email account, the system will allow you to filter those out. So you can either do kind of like a data dump. In other words, it will take everything and move it over, or you can selectively tell API Nation that you only want one label or one group brought over, and it will allow you to manually select that. So that's something that we'll also be going over. So if you do only have one label you're looking to move, that's completely fine. Once I've confirmed that this information is here, the last thing I want to make sure is that all of my contacts have a name. So in order for API Nation to sync your contact over to command, it does require that the contact has both a first and last name, or at least something in the name column, which Gmail does only allow one section. So you're golden. And then it also requires an email address. So any contacts that do not have an email address on file will not sync over. So unfortunately, if you are syncing phone contacts that don't have email addresses on file, those will not sync with command. Those would need to be manually exported. And then we can always assist with formatting those for command for you. But just kind of keep that in mind. If there is not an email address on file, it will not sync that contact. So that's also something that you may want to keep an eye out for while you're spot checking your contacts in that account. Now that I've done that, I'm going to go back over to my command platform. And in order to access the actual marketplace, which is where we're going to be pulling our API Nation platform, we're going to go ahead and click on the marketplace icon right at the top. It should look like a little house, and when you hover over it, it will actually label it marketplace. Once we're in the marketplace, if you guys have purchased Twilio or maybe Dotloop, any of those platforms, this may look very familiar to you. If you haven't done that yet, I'm going to go over some of the basics just so you know what you're clicking on. Once we're in marketplace, the one thing you do want to make sure is at the top of the page, right to the right of My Apps, you want to make sure it's saying your name. And if we click on that, you'll notice it's a drop-down list that gives us not only our office's name, so it's our market center, but it also tells us any teams that we are associated with. We want to make sure that neither of those are selected and it has our name. If you're on any other profile, this platform unfortunately will not allow you to launch it at this time. So you do want to make sure that you are on your name. Once you guys have clicked that, it will refresh for a second, so don't panic. But once it has refreshed, we're going to go ahead and search for the API Nation options. In doing that, we're going to click on our search box, and I'm just going to type in API Nation. And then we'll click enter, so it searches for us. And these are all of the syncs that are available through API Nation. You'll notice that some of them are paid syncs. They're going to allow you to do third-party platforms. If you guys are looking to move Dotloop to Google Contacts, Dotloop to your Google Drive, or DocuSign to your Google Drive, you'll notice that there are fees involved. However, once we scroll down, the KW compatible ones are on the second page. Once we scroll down, you'll notice that these are zeroed out. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to be using the Google contacts today. We have noticed that the iCloud contacts and Dotloop contacts are live. Feel free to link up any of these other additional contacts as well. You'll notice you have Facebook. You also have BombBomb, Mailchimp, and then Outlook. Liondesk and Constant Contact seem like they're still launching. It will allow you to launch the actual app. However, it may not allow you to make the sync live. So don't panic. You can still get everything set up based on how we're setting everything up today. The sync may just take a little bit to kick in as they continue to launch API Nation. So I'm going to go back to my previous page and grab the Google Contacts option. So once you locate the one that you are looking to use, all I'm going to do is click on View Details in order to launch this under my account. Once this comes up, this is going to give you a brief overview of what it's going to allow you to do, shows some screenshots of what we're about to go through. If you guys have questions down the line, you do have access to see all of the screenshots that go through the setup process. KW also has some articles available that go over how to set this up. If you need screenshots and a written breakdown, that is also available for you guys. But in order to get this launched, we're going to go ahead and click on Buy Now in the top right-hand corner. Once we click on that, you guys are going to notice right here on the right-hand side, everything is zeroed out for you. So all we're going to do is go ahead and click on Next. You'll also notice that it is a recurring discount. So it's just going to continue removing that $10 fee. So you guys are all set. And as you guys start to add on additional platforms, so if you decide to do more than the one that is included, there is a fee breakdown as well that you guys can look over. For example, if a couple of these applications may apply to you, feel free to take a look at that and it will just kind of break down what you'll be looking at. Once we get to this screen, all I'm going to do is check off my agree to terms and conditions. And then I'm just going to click on my complete purchase. Once you guys are on this page, we're just going to go ahead and click on Set Up Your Sync. And this is going to look similar for everybody. Your icons may change a little bit if you're doing another platform, iCloud Contacts or Constant Contact, any of those. But as far as the process goes, it will be the exact same. So we're going to go ahead and click on Set Up Your Sync. Once we get to this page, I'm going to go ahead and select the app that I'm looking to make changes to just by clicking on the icon. So whichever one you guys selected, we're going to go ahead and just click on the icon. Once this pops up, it's just letting us know what the email address associated with your account is. Generally, this is going to be your Keller Williams email address. Even if you have another email on file, it automatically associates with your Keller Williams email because that's what Command also sees as your designated email. If you're looking to change that, this can be changed through access.kw.com by editing your email through the profile. However, with it being under your KW email, it's more so just a mental note that that's the email address that's linked to this account. It won't interfere with any of your syncs. It doesn't mean that your sync has to be done with this email. It's just the email that Keller Williams Command associates itself with. That's completely fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start. From here, now I essentially have access to start linking up my accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Connect Accounts. And it's going to allow me to automatically log in because I already have this up. So I have my email here. I'll click on that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and allow it. It may also have you do a password if you didn't log in previously. So if it does ask for a password, don't panic, just plug that in. And then you'll be on the same screen as I am. Once this comes up, we'll click on Allow, which is going to allow that connection between Command and our Google contacts. Once we get to this screen, what is generally recommended is to click Sync All on first run. What that means is all of the contacts that are in your Command account will essentially be affected by this sync. Depending on how you're looking to sync things up, if you're doing it as a two-way sync or a one-way sync, it may apply whether or not you want all contacts to be influenced. API Nation will allow you to overwrite information. So in other words, say your Google contacts might be a little bit out of date. Maybe your Command contacts are more up to date. You would not want to overwrite the information. Same with vice versa. If your Command contacts are maybe out of date, maybe your Google contacts are more up to date, then you would want to overwrite your Command information with your Google information. This is going to be more important if you guys are running a two-way sync, meaning you want both of these platforms to be communicating with one another. If you're going to be setting it up as a two-way sync, kind of pick the leader. So in other words, whichever platform you plan on going in and updating regularly, whether that is Google contacts or Command, you would want to overwrite the non-primary account. So that means if I log into my Google contact on our Google platform on a regular basis and I'm making updates to it, especially for Android users, if you guys are adding contacts to your Google contacts from your phone, you would want to make sure that you're overwriting your Command contacts. This means as you interact with a client or meet a new client and you add somebody to your contacts, it will automatically add them to your Command. And if there is an existing platform, for example, John Smith, and maybe his email was wrong and you want to update it, it will allow you to do that from your Google contacts and it will automatically update it in Command. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. I'm going to go ahead and select Sync All Contacts on first run for both sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and for my Google contacts, you'll notice that you have access to select your label here. If you don't have a label set up, or if you have a label set up and you're not looking to only import those, you can leave it as default. Default is going to automatically sync absolutely everyone in your Google contacts. If you select the label, it's only going to sync the contacts that are associated with that label. So as of right now, I have SLM import for my 3 contacts. So I can do either or. I can select SLM import and it will only move that 3. Or if I do it as default, as I add people to my Google contacts, it will automatically sync them with or without my SLM import label. So I'm going to leave it as default. For the information, I'm going to set it as do not overwrite my Google contacts because I plan on adding more Google contacts to my account via my Google login, which is then going to allow those to automatically sync and update any outdated information I have in Command. Underneath that, this is going to be where you can select whether or not you want to do a two-way sync. And we've gone over this, but I just want to make sure. So in regards to that two-way sync, if you want contacts to go from Google to Command, you can uncheck whichever one doesn't apply to you. So Google Contacts to Command, we would uncheck this one, meaning Command contacts will not go to our Google database. My personal recommendation, and this is something to definitely keep in mind, if you are an Android user and you're linking up your Google Contacts, or if you're an iPhone user and you're linking up your iCloud contacts, doing a two-way sync will update your contacts in your phone with your command database. So if you have a ton of contacts in your command database that you're in the process of maybe scrubbing, or you're making updates to, or there's just 7,000 or 8,000 people in your database, I would highly recommend doing a one-way sync until you have your command database at a point where you want those on your phone. Then you can come back in here and check this off, and it will move your command database over. I just want to make sure that that's clear, because with the iCloud sync and the Google sync, depending on how you guys have your contacts on your phone set up, they will interact with one another. So just make sure, keep that in mind. I'm going to do this as a one-way sync, so my Google contacts are only going to go to command right now. Last but not least, it does require that you select that you are not using any other contact syncs. PieSync was recently removed from settings, so you guys are golden there. We're just going to go ahead and check that off. And then we'll go ahead and click on continue. And then it should take a second. Once we have this set up, this is where we can kind of put our 2 cents into how things are going to sync, starting with our labels. It's going to let you check this off again. So if you're having second thoughts, maybe you select a label and you want to remove that, you want to do everybody, that's completely fine. You can come in here and just toggle that around. We also have our sync all on first run, and do not overwrite contacts. You can overwrite contacts if you'd like. It's just letting you know, do not overwrite information in command fields, only add information into blank fields. You can do that as well. So in other words, what that means is if you have John Smith in your Google contacts with a matching email for a contact that might already be in command, but Google also has a phone number and command does not, it will actually merge that for you, which is pretty cool. So it's going to merge those duplicates and kind of build on your existing profiles instead of creating a new one. So I'm going to go ahead and have that checked off. Underneath that, we have filters. So for filters, you can come in here and mess around with these. I'm not going to be setting any up today, but you can come in here and you can add like first name equals. You can automatically plug in a first name, or a first name is empty. You can kind of update how you want contacts to filter over. So if you don't want contacts to filter over that don't have emails or don't have first names or anything like that, that's where you can set it up. No filter, because I want everybody to come through. As I scroll down to mapping, this is something that I just recommend you take a quick peek at. It will automatically map everything for you. So in other words, your emailing will automatically sync over, mobile phone will automatically sync as primary, titles, names, all of that will come through. The one thing you may notice is it's not set up to automatically grab a tag. If you're already using your command database, you may have realized how important and helpful tags can be on your contacts. If you have not started using your command database, I would definitely recommend utilizing the tag options, because it's going to allow you to filter your contacts very easily. So what I'm going to do is add in a custom tag, just labeled Google Contacts. That way I know these are syncing from my Google account. That way down the line, if I need to find them in one bulk swoop, I'll be able to locate them easily. In order to do that, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on Add Custom Fields. And then for here, I'm just going to go ahead and call it tag. And then for my field value, I'm just going to put Google Contacts. And you guys can do this if it's coming from Dotloop. You may put Dotloop contacts, or iCloud if you want to put iPhone contacts or iCloud contacts. Or if you guys are moving over a specific label, you can even just implement whatever that label is. So maybe you call your contacts in your Google Contacts Sphere. You can move that over as well. Whatever makes sense to you guys for your contacts, that's what you'll want to use as your field value. I'm going to go ahead and click on my Add Fields. And then from here, now that I have that created, I now need to link it with something in this column, because now I have something from Google. I need to link it to something on my command side. So all I'm going to do is select this, and I can drag it up, and I'm going to drop it right on top of tags, which is my last option. Oh, and it's not. We'll just click it. There we go. So once we have that done, you'll notice that I have tag, custom fields, and then it's automatically linked to a command tag. All that means is our custom field is automatically going to create itself as a tag as my contacts sync over. Again, keep in mind, this is something that will be ongoing, which is fantastic. So as you guys add contacts into your Google contacts, they will automatically sync over to command. This isn't something you have to manually refresh or even monitor. It will happen automatically. Now that I've had all of this updated, if there is anything that you guys are looking to sync over as well, feel free, you guys can link it up on this side. As far as what Google offers, anything else that you guys add under command would essentially be under source, home anniversary, neighborhood name, county, address line, suffix, or preferred name. So if you guys have anything from Gmail, feel free, you guys can move that over as well. In order to do it, you would just select the one from your Gmail column and match it with command. Once you guys have finished that up, we're just going to go ahead, scroll all the way back up to the top, and I'm going to go ahead and activate my sync. So all the way up at the top, you guys are going to see activate sync. Once you guys get that green bubble, it's letting you know that the sync is running, and it will automatically bring you over to logs. Once logs is here, it does usually take a couple minutes to process. But once it is done processing, I will try refreshing again. What will happen is it will tell you which contacts were essentially moved over, and it looks like it's happening right now. It's seeing my 3 contacts, it's mapping them, and it's retrieving them. So it should be done in a couple of minutes. But if you guys ever have to check on the actual log, you can always come back in here and refresh it. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that as well. So while we're waiting for this to go through, what I'm going to do is go back to command right on my tab. And you guys should still be seeing this populating. So if you ever come back into command and you want to make an edit, all we're going to do is, we'll backtrack all the way to command. All we're going to do is click back on Marketplace. And then once we're in Marketplace, instead of having to search for it this time, we only have to click on My Apps. So once we get into that Marketplace, we can go to My Apps. And then we'll see our API Nation, MyKW to Google contacts, and we'll just click on it exactly like we did earlier. And once this pops up, it's going to allow us to see the sync that is currently active. And we can go ahead and just click on that sync. You can pause it here, but if we click on it, we'll actually be able to see all of the logs. So we'll see all of our logs from before, still processing. But what will happen, especially if you guys have a lot of contacts, it does usually take a bit for them to come over. So again, don't panic. It does usually take a minute. But if you want to check on which contacts were skipped, or if there were any issues, or if something was missing information, when you click on the actual section, it's going to tell you why things were skipped or why things were missed or anything along those lines. You'll notice here, like my primary addresses were ignored because I don't have physical street addresses in my Google contacts. So it's just in the process of moving over everything else for me. Once they do come over, they will automatically populate within your command database. So if we go back to our command database, we'll give it a second. If I open up my contacts tab, you can go through and you guys can filter them based on the tag that you guys set up. So this one would be set up as Google contact. And they're already over. So these are the 3 contacts that we just synced through API Nation. So I have my Daisy Duck, Donald Duck, and Mickey Mouse. I have my tags already populating. Their emails came over. The ones with primary phone numbers came over. The ones with phone numbers on file came over. And all of my information is here. So you guys will have access to pull based on filter, which is why I do recommend adding a tag just in case. But if you guys have any questions or if you run into any issues, definitely let us know. And then keep in mind, when you do make that sync active, when it says that it's processing, if you have a bunch of contacts that are syncing up, even though it's processing, it's going to start slowly filtering these contacts through. So where I only had 3, they showed up relatively quickly. If you have hundreds, if not thousands of contacts, it does usually take a little bit for them to feed over. Give it a little bit of time. You can refresh it again right on your API Nation tab and just see how they're transitioning over. And then if you guys bump into anything or have any questions, definitely just let us know. We are here to help. And I hope that helped you guys with API Nation.